I guess I'm going to do the flag salute. Trustee Hart, can you please read the land acknowledgement?
Sure. The Pacifica School District acknowledges that we gather on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Ramaytush Ohlone people. As guests, we humbly extend our gratitude to the Ramaytush Ohlone elders and community. We recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland, and we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples. As the original stewards of this land, the Ramaytush Ohlone understand the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of maintaining harmony with nature. Likewise, Pacifica School District commits to teaching our school community how to be responsible stewards of this land.
Thank you. The district records. Sorry, Barbara, will you take the roll call?
Absent. Trustee Hart.
Here.
Trustee Villalobos.
Here. The district records the audio portion of the meetings. All meetings are kept in the superintendent's office for 30 days and are available during that time period for inspection by members of the public on district equipment without charge. All public comment must be made in person unless a board member will attend remotely or as otherwise specified on the board agenda. Speakers wishing to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items, please complete a request card with your name, address, and the item number and submit it to the board president or the superintendent. You will be called to address the board and may speak for up to 3 minutes. Please note, the public is welcome to provide comment to the board. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes unless extended or limited by vote of the board. A maximum of 20 minutes, unless extended by the board, is allocated for each subject discussed. The Brown Act meeting regulations under which the board must operate do not allow board members to comment on non-agenda items. Items or information you may bring up that are not on the agenda. Additionally, no action can be taken. However, the board may give direction to staff following a comment. Approval of the agenda. Are there any questions? Nope. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
Report out on closed session items. We do have one. The board voted to approve litigation pursuing Homer case.
Three yeses. Oh, I didn't say that.
With 3 yeses. All right. And then I think I can move on from all the rest. Just 1 second, please.
So at this time, we have special reorganization, and we will take nominations for the board president for the remainder of the 2026 school year.
I'd like to nominate Laverne Villalobos to fill the spot for the remainder of the year.
Second, do I second? So I'll second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Laverne.
Oh, I don't, can she vote for herself? I get, okay, you need to vote for yourself.
Well, we need a quorum.
Well, we need 3.
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
We also need a nomination for a vice president.
Okay, and nominate Bridget Hart to be vice president for the remainder of the year.
I'll second.
One second, let me catch up here. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
I think,
And then we also need a nomination for the clerk.
I think Kai is currently the clerk, isn't she? Oh,
I'm
you are.
currently the clerk.
Oh,
So can we nominate, you?
Sure.
Okay, I nominate Elizabeth to be.
I'll second.
In favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
I'm sure.
The board elected these officers for the remainder of the 26th school year as trustee Burkini resignation has left the position of the board president vacant. The board of trustees elect President Villalobos, for the remainder of the 26th calendar year, Vice President Hart and Clerk Brendel.
Okay, we're moving on to number 9, approval of the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion, which is not debatable and which requires a unanimous vote for passage. If any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public requests, any item shall be removed from the section and placed in the regular order of business following approval of the consent agenda. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 3-0.
All right, and we're moving on to communications. LSEA?
Hi, it's me tonight. The year is wrapping up. LSAA did come to a tentative agreement, which our members ratified on May 28th. As a standard in the district, the teachers have done their jobs, and now we wait for administration to do theirs. We expressed concern to you via email today about timelines associated with the agreement. We want to ensure the retro compensation to our members is received in a timely manner. Tonight is the public hearing about the LCAP. We shared with cabinet members our desire and ideas about making the process more engaging, transparent, and realistic for all stakeholders. Tonight is also the public hearing on the budget. LSEA shared in the email sent today our concerns about some of the figures in regard to position control. Based on the report from FCMAT, we'd expect all you to have the same questions and expect answers. Trustees, please don't hesitate to reach out for more details from us or to explain what we might be missing. Much appreciation should be given to our union members who are providing free, unpaid labor to pack up their classrooms in order for summer programs to take place. We worked hard to get these members compensation for these hours, and the district failed to see the need or importance of this. This is no easy task for teachers to pack up not only all of the district provided curriculum, but also the hundreds of dollars of personally bought and PTO funded items to keep safe from third-party vendors using the classrooms. Yesterday, we also discussed visibility of board members and cabinet members at all school sites throughout the year. We appreciate Trustee Berdal, Villalobos, and Hart for making efforts to attend school functions. We brainstormed with the superintendent ideas to make her presence and interest in our work more known throughout the year. We hope this summer provides the time and for the district to get systems and procedures back in place. For many years, Pacifica School District had many systems and procedures that worked well. There are even still personnel in the district that have that knowledge and experience. Last year was a tumultuous year on many accounts, from countless payroll issues, unchecked student behavior, to a revolving door of administrators. We are hopeful for a new start, and we are hopeful trustees will hold the superintendent and cabinet accountable to get this school district on the right track. Thank you, and happy summer.
Thank you, Rachel. Okay, we're moving on to CSEA.
Good evening, members of the board, superintendent, and guests. First, I would like to acknowledge our members who came in person to vote on things you will hear about tonight. Over 50% of our members cast their votes on our contract language, on our schedule raises, and on job descriptions. I am proud of our members, and I am appreciative of their support. I'm also appreciative of the negotiations team who gave so much time and effort doing this difficult work. I hope our union continues to grow stronger together with more engagement from all of our classified employees. This has been a very challenging year for many of us. We would have loved to come here tonight and say nothing to report, but we could not in good conscience do that. After 11 negotiation sessions, we did reach a 2-year agreement. We approved new job descriptions, several MOUs, and a 3% on-schedule raise for the 25-26 school years. The first on-schedule raise achieved during our time in leadership, followed by another 3% raise for 26-27.
While we appreciate the hard work of everyone involved, both teams knew that I'm going to say it because I really was not happy with the settlement. I left the table disappointed in myself and disappointed that we were unable to do more for the employees who keep this district running every day. Year after year, we ask for help in providing a living wage. We ask for compensation that allows our members to survive in the communities they serve. Consider a school assistant or a para who has dedicated at least 5 years to this district and currently earns $20 per hour. A 3% increase adds 60 cents per hour, bringing their wage to $20.60. The following year, another 3% increase adds approximately 62 cents, bringing them to just $21.22 per hour. Many school assistants and paras work only 4 hours per day and are not eligible for district health benefits because they are not full-time employees. Meanwhile, the starting wage at In-N-Out Burger is $22 per hour. A brand new teenager with no years of service can earn more than one of our experienced school assistants. Think about that. The adults who work directly with our students every day, supporting their learning, helping them through emotional challenges, supervising them on the playground, keeping them safe, and serving as trusted adults in their lives, all earning less than a teenager at a fast food restaurant. That is difficult reality. That is a difficult reality to accept. Some days I ask myself, why do we continue to do this work? The answer is always the same. Because we love our schools, our students, and our community. That's why we do it. But at what point do we say that dedication is not enough? At what point do we acknowledge that passion, everybody says I'm very passionate, should not require financial sacrifice? And when will this district make a meaningful commitment to bringing classified salaries to a competitive level? One that reflects the value of our work and is comparable to what many other districts throughout San Mateo County are already paying. Our members deserve more than gratitude. They deserve compensation that reflects the essential role they play in the success of this district. Do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next is people wishing to address the board. Do we have any names? Board Superintendent Correspondence and Communications. Elizabeth, do you want to start?
Tonight. So this month, I attended the Ortega Open House, Cabrillo Open House, the CT Career Night Open House that was at Ingrid B. Lacey, the Ocean Shore School Oceans Week hallway display. I wasn't able to make it on the main night, but I was able to go up and tour that. The Ingrid B. Lacey graduation, Cabrillo graduation, workforce housing meeting with John Niblin, who's our county council. I had a meeting with Congressman Kevin Mullen about district concerns. The Sunset Ridge PTO meeting. Let's see. The Cabrillo School bioswale cleanup, which is done through the beautification committee with the city of Pacifica, with quite a few volunteers also from the PTO at Cabrillo. And the most fun was Saturday was the Pride Parade, an event at Ingrid B. Lacey on Saturday that was really well attended and real positive, and all the different organizations had booths all the way around, and they have their car parade. They decorate all the cars and go down Palmetto. So anyone who's not seen it before should plan on trying to see that next year.
Bridget?
I went to IBL graduation and Ocean Shore Sunset Ridge commencement ceremonies. And I also had a meeting with John Niblin for workforce housing.
I had my one-on-ones, and the highlight of the month was I attended the Ocean Shore Sunset Ridge graduation. And all I can say is that it was beautiful. The children made it beautiful. They were heartfelt. They were thankful. They showed gratitude. And so I just want to say thank you for letting us attend too, because that's something that we like to see. And then I also received an important correspondence about our school funding task force. We are coming into the later end of that push, and we are working on the cost of living in San Mateo County and seeing if we can, help get more LCFF funding somehow through that. It's very complicated, but the district and the county are doing their best to try to get more equitable funding, because we all know that we receive the lesser amounts of money, whereas somebody else who just lives 15 miles away get a lot more funding, and it isn't equitable.
So I was also able to attend IBL, Sunset Ridge, Ocean Shore, and Cabrillo's graduation. And again, Sunset Ridge and Ocean Shore, I don't think there was a dry eye in the place. Even people who were trying to pretend like they weren't crying, like going like this quickly. It was very moving, and all the ceremonies, Cabrillo's and IBL's as well, was just very well put together, and the staff did a fabulous job. I've had the opportunity to meet with the San Mateo County Office of Education fiscal team on a very, very regular basis. I've met with John Niblin, County Council. I've also met with the City of Pacifica, Parks and Rec, had a LSEA check-in, a CSEA check-in. I have also been working with workforce housing and had meetings with our one-on-ones with our trustees. And I also had one-on-one meetings with our cabinet and other one-on-one meetings with the staff as we're bringing on some new team members. I'm super excited about what the next year holds and seeing the team come together so nicely.
Thank you. And we are opening the public hearing for number 11, information items, local control accountability plan. And we're going to open that at 6:20. Catherine?
The Cabinet. Tonight's presentation is the public hearing for Pacifica School District's Local Control and Accountability Plan, or LCAP. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to share the proposed plan, summarize stakeholder input, and provide the board and community with an opportunity to review the document before approval on June 24th. The LCAP is the district's strategic planning document. It connects our goals, actions, and budget investments and serves as the framework for how we improve outcomes for all of our students, particularly our multilingual learners, low-income students, foster youth, and students with disabilities. Simply put, the LCAP answers two questions. What are we trying to improve, and how are we investing our resources to get there? So this plan was developed through a year-long process that included surveys, meetings, consultations with educational partners, review of student outcome data, and opportunities for feedback from staff, families, bargaining units, advisory groups, and community members. The LCAP before you tonight reflects both quantitative data and stakeholder input gathered throughout the year. So one of the most important parts of our LCAP development is listening to our educational partners. This year, we did receive feedback from students, staff, and families through panorama surveys and stakeholders engagement activities. We'll start first with our students. So students told us that they generally felt safe and connected to adults at school, while also expressing a desire for learning experiences to feel more engaging and relevant, particularly in grades 6 through 8. From our staff highlighted strong relationships and family partnerships, while also identifying a need for continued instructional support and actionable feedback to strengthen their instructional practice. And from our families reported strong communication and partnership with schools while requesting clearer academic expectations and greater visibility into student learning experiences. But across all three groups, several common themes emerged: strong relationships, a desire for high quality instruction, and the need for clear communication and support systems. Those themes directly informed the goals and actions included in this LCAP. So the next several slides will summarize the outcome data used to evaluate progress towards our existing goals. And as with any district, the results are mixed. We have areas of growth that we want to build upon and areas where additional attention and support are still needed. And rather than review every metric individually, I'd like to highlight a few key trends that emerged within each goal area. So we'll start with goal 1, and I will share the data that shows both area of progress and also areas of continued focus. So for goal 1, quality instruction and effective leadership, we did see a positive movement in several staffing indicators, including reductions in teacher vacancies, credentialing concerns, and misassignments, along with a modest increase in teacher retention. Still goal 1, at the same time, we identified opportunities to strengthen consistency in monitoring and implementation of some of our support systems, particularly related to English learner services and behavior supports. Moving to goal 2, where we are focusing on student achievement and equity, we saw encouraging growth in several areas, including increased English learner reclassification rates. That is something to be proud of for sure for this year. A reduction in the number of long-term English learners and gains in iReady performance for many of our subgroups. Now, the academic outcomes do remain uneven across our student groups, as you can see, particularly in mathematics and among some of our historically underserved populations. But closing the gap does remain a central focus of our proposed LCAP. Moving to goal 3, which focuses on our family engagement, attendance, and school connectedness. In the area of goal 3, we showed some of the strongest district-wide gains. Attendance improved overall, and chronic absenteeism decreased significantly across nearly every subgroup, as you can see, including some of our highest need populations. Now, regarding stakeholder feedback, this also tells us there is more work to do around student connectedness, family engagement, and ensuring that students and families have a clear understanding of learning expectations and the available supports for them. But the strengths and the challenges reflected in these results directly informed the new and revised actions included in this proposed LCAP, which I will highlight next. So based on the data and the stakeholder feedback, several actions were added or strengthened in the proposed LCAP. I grouped them in 3 areas around our goals: quality, equity, community. For goal 1, the continued implementation of our literacy initiatives, professional learning, and new social studies curriculum adoption, pending board approval, of course. In goal 2, we have expanded access to tier 1, 2, and 3 supports, along with stronger systems for identifying and responding to student needs. I'd like to particularly highlight the integration of our cost process that was rolled out through all of our sites. And then goal 3, additional parent education opportunities and continued investment in communication tools that improve family access and engagement. And I'd like to highlight the use of the Language Link app. So the proposed LCAP reflects extensive stakeholder input, analysis of student outcome data, and the district's commitment to continuous improvement. While there are areas that we have made meaningful progress and areas where work remains, this plan represents our best effort to align our resources, actions, and accountability in support of student success. Now, tonight is the public hearing. Staff welcomes any feedback from the board and community, and will return on June 24th with the proposed LCAP for consideration and approval at that time.
Does anybody have any comments or questions?
And just thank you for everyone who put all the work into it. I know it's a lot of work and it's a big process. And I've been part of that before in the past. So.
I like to see that there were so many families that, or that there was so much community input this year, first of all. It seems like this in combination with the FICMAT, there's just a real big push to move towards better systems. And I look forward to strengthening our district that way.
I just thought that was really good news about our English language learners and crossing the line on some of those, because historically they've fallen behind. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I have one more question, one more thing. Can you share a little bit about the Language Link app?
In what capacity?
What is it?
Oh,
What is it?
we use it for in-person translation.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as an example, we had one day where there was one little boy who, it was a different pickup time than usual, and we were able to make a call in Portuguese from the district office to help
Awesome.
get his grown up here for him.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any more comments or questions? Okay, the public hearing is closed at 6:30. And we're moving on to another public hearing on the proposed 2026-2027 budget. And this one is opened at 6:30.
Presentation.
And this is Dusty.
All right. Good evening, board, superintendent, audience, cabinet. This is the public hearing for our 2026-27 proposed adopted budget. We will come back next in 2 weeks for the final. So you've seen this slide many times. We've presented it a year ago. We highlight when we do first interim and then second interim, and we are here again, full circle, on another school year where we have the opportunity to try to put together everything related to the numbers. The LCAP is in the budget, people are in the budget, and so we're putting all of that together. So tonight is the public hearing for both the LCAP and the adopted budget, and it's significant that the LCAP goes first before the public hearing for the adopted budget, so that we make sure that we have the opportunity to make comments on that before we present the numbers. The LCAP is included in the budget. The adoption for both the LCAP and the adopted budget will be on June 24th. At that point in time, you will see the final numbers for 25-26. We now call them estimated actuals. And so 25-26 first interim was in December, and then in March we did second interim, and then in May we did third interim, and now we call them estimated actuals, and then in September we will call them unaudited. So it's just a way to keep you guessing what it is that we're trying to present to you, but it's all related to the educational plan converted to dollars for finaling out our 25-26 school year. We've then taken those numbers, advanced them by another year, put in new assumptions, new criteria, new data to come up with the 26-27 adopted budget. When tonight you will have a preview of the multi-year, which is now 27, 28, and 28, 29. I don't know if I can get to 29, 30 yet. That just seems way far out there. The multi-year projection, in 2 weeks, you'll see the cash flow. There's a whole bunch of more supplemental forms and criteria standards that'll be part of that SACS document that we will put together. In August, we'll have the opportunity to do a 45-day update after board approval in 2 weeks. Once the state approves and adopts the state budget, and anything that significantly changes based on the criteria and the information that we used in our budget, then we'll bring back to the board in August to update that so that you're updated on all of that as well. So the objective of tonight is to present the educational plan of the district for next school year, but it's presented in numbers and amounts, right? All those different accounts that we presented all year long, but now we've moved on to what we believe will be 26, 27 numbers. We've got state required documents, presentations, all that good kind of stuff. It will include 25, 26 estimated actuals, as I mentioned, and it presents the financial picture of the district based on the information that we know at this particular point in time. So we always start with students, right? If someone says, okay, start the budget, I have to start with students. So I put together this table to give you reference of enrollment and ADA, or student attendance, average daily attendance, for 4 years. So the current school year, projections for next year, and then the next 2 following years. So you can see from here that we actually are proposed to grow in 26, 27. So that's really excited. We part of the budget, the good and the bad is that we're adding TK classes that requires us to put another teacher in. So it's good on the revenue side. Then we have to put in the budget side as well. So this chart shows us both the enrollment and the ADA by those major categories of grade levels. And the reason that I present it this way is we have different funding levels for each of those. So we get a different amount for TK3 than we get for 4-6, than we get for 7-8. And so there's this tool that the state provides for local control funding formula, the LCFF, and we're able to do that. In this year, we had a student attendance rate of 94.87. It just supports what Catherine said, that the kids are coming to school. I'm projecting next year just conservatively 94.2, so just a little bit under. But if we raise that, then we'll get those additional dollars as well. So 2554, still projecting to go down based on our demographic studies in the past, down the next 2 years, but maybe the trend will go up. So we'll have to see, and we'll make those changes as appropriate. I also added a new line on here, funded ADA. So one of the things that the state guarantees is that we will get either our current ADA or a 3-year rolling average if that is of prior year ADA, if that is higher. And so you can see that we are in that particular situation. As we continue to still decline in enrollment and ADA, the state funds us at a little bit of a higher rate or higher number of ADA. So for this year, while our ADA is at 2401, we're actually being funded at 2533. Next year, we're projected to be 2554 or 2406 ADA. We're still going to get 2477 for funded. So I add that just as reference because sometimes we look at those ADA numbers and then we wonder why the revenue doesn't go up or down. It's because of the way that the tool works. There is funded ADA that is attached to that as well. These numbers do include our non-public school students that attend. There are students that are attending non-public schools, so we include their ADA as well. And as you know, we get student attendance based on how often they come to school from the first day of school all the way to about the end of March is when the second period or the P2 attendance period ends. And so it's that 135, 138 days. That is our criteria. Even though we have a whole 180 days of school, our funding is based on that time period through March. Next, when we're developing a budget, we always want to go to the people, right? Because that's our next important asset. And so on this table, what I put together is our FTEs, our full-time equivalents by different categories of educational focus. And so strict instruction, those are going to be our teachers, our paras that are working in the classrooms. And so we have a whole 149 of those, and I've broken them between the three categories of employees. Instructional support are anything related to curriculum development, library, instructional technology, all of those principals, site information. And so that's the ADAs that go, or the FTEs that go there. Pupil services are nursing, pupil transportation, child nutrition, psychology, speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, all of those kind of things. And then district administration is those individuals that are required to run the district. And then we have our facilities and maintenance departments as well. So I broke those. I included the different categories. I think it's just important to know the emphasis that everybody has. And so there's people behind each of these. The 0.42, the 0.8 is because some people don't work full time. And so a full-time individual, 6.5 hours for a teacher or 8 hours for a classified person would be 1. And then proportionally you put that down. So we have more people than 237.5. This is our full-time equivalent. These charts look a little different than what I've presented in the past, because when FCMAT came in, they said I might not be giving the board enough information. And so you're going to see 6 different charts that look like this. I'm going to present the total general fund, and then we'll go to unrestricted and restricted. So we have 2 big pots of money, if we want to put it that way. So we have lots of different checking accounts. Those are funds. Our major one is the general fund. The general fund has 2 major categories. One is all our grants and categoricals and special education and maintenance and all of those things. And then we have our unrestricted dollars. So looking at this, we have 5 categories of revenue: student attendance, or LCFF, federal grants. Those are our title programs, and some federal special education revenues as well. State revenues include state grants, lottery, some of the new one-time monies that we have, but a lot of it is going to be restricted rather than unrestricted. You'll see that in a minute. Our local revenue can be interest, rental income, donations, all of those kinds of things. Our parcel taxes are in local revenue, so that kind of breaks that out that way. I put salary and benefits together because we do have certificated, we do have classified, we have employee benefits, but it's all the support or the investment that we put into our people and the costs that are associated with that. Our books and supplies are textbooks, other books, consumables, small technology items, but basically the things that you use up and then replace. Operating expenses can be anything from contracts, legal, consultants, travel, professional development, memberships, utilities, postage, internet costs, insurances, property and liability, those kind of things. Equipment would be items that are over $5,000 individually. And then tuition and or indirect are those students that are attending either a county program or another district program. And then indirect is the calculation that the state allows us to charge other funds. So overall, when we look at 25-26, we have 3.7 as an ending fund balance. We go down to 2.5, and I have a change column. The next slide you're going to see is going to look significantly different because it is unrestricted. So now this pot of money is just those dollars that come in primarily from student attendance or our rents and leases or lottery. And interest. And so that's what the revenue up there. You'll notice that line that says contributions, $8 million going down to 6.9. That is because we have 2 major restricted programs that don't have funding individually from themselves. It's either generated as student attendance or it is a state requirement that we take unrestricted dollars and move it over to support those other programs. And that's our maintenance program and also our special education program. So that's what that contribution line is. Again, same format, salary and benefits, book supplies, operating, ending balances look significantly different because we have a lot of restricted dollars. And so our restricted LCFF revenue, those are the revenues that we get specifically just for special education. And so those dollars right there is what we get for what they call AB 602, which is an assembly bill that recalculated how special education gets funded. You'll see the increase there because in the May revise, the governor did raise our rate from $999 per student to $1,340. So that is included in here. That helps offset that contribution for the underfunding of special education. Federal revenues are all of our Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, as well as our federal local assistance special education dollars. State revenues can be anything from ACES, ELOP. We have some one-time student support dollars, CTE dollars, learning recovery. So all of those state grants, everything that is categorized in restricted has to be spent for that specific purpose. So it's not like we can just take those dollars and say, oh, well, just do this with it. Title I dollars have to be spent in a certain way. Local assistance dollars have to be spent in a certain way. The learning recovery dollars will have to be spent in a certain way. And so that's why it has this restricted side of it. Same format, salary. And so the ending balances are all related to different restricted programs. In the SACS documents, and I'll highlight this when we come back in 2 weeks, there's a page at the end of the formal one that talks about what each of those resources are. And so it'll tell you how much is left over in ELOP, what the carryover is, what is in learning recovery, what is in our student, the new student support dollars, and what's left in our parcel taxes. I wanted to give you just sort of kind of an idea when you're looking at total general fund. Visually, you can see that our LCFF is the major revenue source that we have that funds the district. State revenues, a little bit smaller, local revenues, a little bit smaller, federal, not so much. And then just a transfer in, we've just got a really small amount that we're pulling in from Fund 17 for this next budget year. I also wanted to graphically show you how the distribution of the investment salary and benefits is for our people. And then we've got those consumables, books and supplies, those other operating expenses, equipment, and then those transfers out or indirect tuition costs. So there's a lot of factors that go into putting together a budget. Some of these we get from the state. Some of them are trends that the district has experienced over time that we do include. And so we talk a lot, you hear a lot about COLA, cost of living adjustment. So there is a formula that the Department of Finance goes through and says, this is what the COLA is going to be. So this year it was 2.3%. Next year it is scheduled to be 2.87. That is set in stone. That is going to happen. It is projected in 27-28 to be 3.3. I will tell you that will change every single time. It changes each time that we get together. It'll probably be different. Maybe for first interim, it'll be different in January. It'll be different. It may revise. They keep recalculating what that is. So we're using 3.3 right now for 27-28, 3.09 for 28-29. You see that LCFF augmentation in the May revise. If it is approved by the state, we will get an additional 1.44% only on our LCFF or student attendance. So that's an important distinction because that does not carry over to ELOP dollars. It does not carry over into ACES dollars. It does not carry over into any of those other restricted programs. This is only on the student attendance side of it. And so it gives us that opportunity for a bit more funding. And so each of those grade levels will get a little bit more dollars associated with it if that passes. FICMAT said I need to tell you all of these different rates for our employer costs. And so I tried to consolidate them all in one slide so that it would be easier for you guys to absorb it. So we have both state teachers retirement systems and we have public employee retirement systems, STRS and PERS, and they have different rates. Typically, as a standard, your certificated individuals will be on STRS and your classified individuals will be on PERS. There are some anomalies of that, people that start in one and then become a teacher or start it as being a teacher and become a classified individual. And so those rates differ. You can see that the PERS rate is higher. It changes every year. STRS has been consistent for many years now. When I started in this business, STRS was 8% and PERS was 13.08. And so we've seen significantly increases to the district, and there's no funding offset for these. They are just costs that the districts statewide have absorbed throughout the years. Social Security is 6.2. That's a federal Medicare, same thing. Unemployment is set by the state, so that is 0.05%. And then we have a workers' comp rate of just a little over 2.4%. So all of those together, I outlined for you for a certificated individual, for every dollar that we pay out in salaries, it's 23.08 cents. And then for classified individuals, it's closer to that 36%. If someone is not on PERS, they don't meet the criteria, meaning they're under 4 hours, then you wouldn't have that 26% on there. But you can see that that's a significant investment. And those are mandated costs, mandated fixed charges that we have to pay as an employer. I built into the budget based on my trend analysis, a 1% automatic step increase for certificated classifications, and then 1.6% for classified. And that's looking at the costs over the last several years. And so those are just automatics. When someone is here another year, they move down on the certificated salary schedule. It averages about 1% of the total each year. And then classified move across on their salary schedule, and the average is about 1.6% as an increase. Some people get more, some people get less, but that's our average. I built into the budget as well an 8% increase to health and welfare that is absorbed by the district, and a 5% increase to liability insurance and a 5% increase to utilities. And that would be the same as our own electric bills or gas bills going up, and the same as our home insurance going up. So those are all built into that. So after we complete this year's budget, then we are required to then look 2 years ahead. And so this is where the numbers get a little scary, I'll be honest, right up front. So I'm presenting total again, it's the same format, but now I have 25, 26, 26, 27. You already saw that, but it had a change column. Now I'm adding 27, 28, and 28, 29, our two required next 2 future years. So you can see that our LCFF revenue is going up. That is combats the funded ADA going down, but we've got those COLAs built in, right? 3.3 and 3.09. So that's what you see on that top number there. Federal stays pretty consistent. The reason we have differences between 25, 26 and 26, 27 is because our enrollment in ADA is going down. We will get less title money next year and less local assistance money next year. So those decreases are built into our numbers at this point in time. State revenues, you see the big jump in 26, 27, then it goes back down in 27, 28. We have 2 one-time grants that are in this budget. One is the new Student Support Professional Development Block Grant, 1.9 million, and then 137,000 for learning recovery. So both of those are one time. We've projected and used them in the 26, 27 budget, and they're taken out in 27, 28 because they're one time. You'll see that contributions are 0 because this is the total general fund. And so they zero each other out, right? It's a plus for restricted and a negative in unrestricted. So they zero themselves out. Same categories, salary and benefits, operating, tuition. And then we have our, you can see the ending fund balances are going down. So here's why they're going down. So in general fund, while we have that increase to revenue, you can see that because we're still declining in ADA, our revenue is not really going up by 3.3% and 3.09% or 4.31% because we're combating that decreasing ADA as we go through. State revenues are going to go up by the lottery, some of those kind of things. And then there's some adjustments for interest in here. And that's because that treasury notes interest projection is going down just a little bit, as well as the fact that we don't have as much cash. So interest has to go down. You can see our contributions on here. We're projecting 8 million going down to 6, still decreasing just a little bit. That's going to be some projected reductions in special education contracts moving forward. Salary and benefits are on here. You can see that those are going up. One of those significantly in 27-28 is because we have 3 teachers funded by the parcel tax, and they had to come back to the general fund in 27-28. So that takes a hit there. So you can see that we have not a lot of money in this year's budget. And then right now, at this particular point in time, before the fiscal stabilization plan and before the county review, my projections are showing that we are going to be negative in 27-28 and 28-29. I am hopeful that upon review, we meet with the county tomorrow and with our FCMAT advisor and expert, that they'll be able to review this and maybe come up with some changes, but I don't think they're going to find $2 million. So we have some work ahead of us. There's lots of reasons that this got to the point where we are. Some of it are just the costs that we've associated this year, significantly increased legal costs. We're still expecting to have some of those next year based on some information that we have. And so we're going to be working through this as we go through, but we're required to provide both this year's budget as well as the next, projected the next 2 years. When you look at restricted, you can see that these are also going down, and there's a couple of reasons for that as well. So 25-26 does include the tentative agreements for both CSCA and LSCA. Because they're tentative agreements, even though the board has not approved them yet, I did include them based on the county instructions. So those are in salary increases. CSCA has another 3% in the following year. This is also the same year that our parcel tax expires. And so you can see that some of those costs go down in the 27-28 because, and so does local revenue, until that parcel tax gets, when that parcel tax gets renewed in November. I have to take it out at this particular point in time. So we have 10 positions that are funded by the parcel tax that are coming out, and those 3 that came back to the general fund. The other thing in here is that you can see the state revenue goes up and then it goes down. Again, that's those 2 one-time dollars, as well as we have an expiring K-12 Strong Workforce Grant. It was a 3-year $1 million grant that Dr. Bowman got for us when she came on board. And it also is ending in 26-27. And so those revenues and those costs come out of that as well. There's 2 administrators that are funded by that grant as well in 26-27. So you can see those go down, and then they start to go back up because the new parcel tax will have a new $1 million that will come in. That is not allocated for or identified at this particular point in time as what it will be spent on. So significant changes from 25-26 to 26-27. We have our tentative agreements, I already mentioned that. You have 4 board slots coming up for election. That's a price tag of about $155,000. And so that's in 26-27. I took it out in 27-28. I put back in like 85,000 in the following year. to project for that. We've got those one-time monies that I mentioned. We didn't have as much reduction in legal costs as we anticipated when I presented third interim. So those costs are still in there. We had a transfer in from our Fund 20, that's out. And then this year's student support grant was about 778,000. So that had to come in and go out as well. I already mentioned we had 3 teachers that are out of the old parcel tax. Those came back to unrestricted, took out the textbook adoption, which is how we're going to get the social studies to match the LCAP. And then again, the parcel tax and our K-12 strong workforce. We don't just have a general fund. So I always want to get this one slide. I've talked to a couple of districts that, yeah, we don't even put that in, but it's important for me that you guys know we do have other bank accounts or checking accounts that we use for different specific purposes. We feed our kids. That is part of the Nutrition Services Fund 13. And so it has a healthy fund balance. It actually has a little bit too much. And so they're on a spending plan with CDE. We do have a deferred maintenance program that is supported by a transfer from general fund of about $100,000 each year. And so that's going to end, projected to end about 85,000, rising to 107. Each of these funds get revenues and get interest on the cash balances. So I broke out our 2 measures, our 2 bond measures, so that instead of just saying Fund 21 has, $40 million, you would see what you have left in Measure O and then what you have available in Measure G. So those 2 are broken out. I don't have a lot going on in Fund 25. And then Fund 40 is where we have had our rent income. It's also where the money resides from the sale of the site from some years ago. And then we have just a little bit in tax override because I can't figure out how you guys can spend it just yet. So I'm working on that one still. So this is not a recommendation for tonight, but it is what we will bring back on the 24th, that you approve this budget. It'll go to the county, and then the county responds to it typically about 45 days after, maybe 60 days after the board approves it and we submit it. There will be some next steps. Obviously, you'll take action on the 24th. At that time also, you'll see a fiscal stability plan to help us recognize what we can do to offset that very large negative that we're battling in my projections. We talked about the 45-day update that happens in August. In September, we'll bring back unaudited actuals, so we'll actually know how 25-26 ends. And then we start our budget cycle. First interim comes in December. January, we get our information, and then second interim happens in March. And that's it. Questions?
Questions or comments?
Just with the ADA, the 3-year average, if I remember right, did that start during COVID? So are they continuing that now? Because I first remember hearing about it during COVID when kids were not physically attending school, that they gave us a 3-year average. So I think that was still.
So before COVID, we always got the greater of of either current year or prior year.
Okay.
That's what it was. Then 1920 and 2021, they froze whatever our ADA was at P1 because COVID hit in March before P2 or that second time period. They froze us for 2 years.
Okay.
So we got the same ADA 1920, 2021. And then they started with 21, 22 when we all came back is when they started the 3-year rolling average. And so it's the better of these 2 years and then the better of these 2 years. But if current year is better, then you'll get funded on that one. And so we could grow 100 and have staffing required for 100 and get no new money because we're being paid on the prior year rolling average.
Okay. So you don't have the choice of whether to go with a certain year. You need to do an average.
It's automatic. Yeah. It's automatic as part of the state tool.
Because I remember first hearing about that during COVID.
Yes. Good memory. I try to forget COVID. But we are forever scarred.
I'm curious, does curriculum come out of the general fund or is there a certain fund for that?
So curriculum comes out of the general fund. There is no set aside or dollars for that. We have in this budget $1 million textbook adoption that may go down once we start getting our quotes in. On the restricted side, typically curriculum would come out of the unrestricted general side.
I think we just need to address what happens if we go negative. Just so that everybody knows. Can we do that, or Dusty?
Sure. I'll give you my what I believe is going to probably happen. So in 2 weeks, we'll still be bringing a budget forward that doesn't have a full 3%. At that point in time, the county has a couple of options. They can disapprove your budget. They can send it back and say, fix it. At that point in time, I would guess that our fiscal advisor will become a fiscal expert. At that point in time, have a little bit more input, a little bit more control, give a bit more direction to us at that particular point in time. They can conditionally approve your budget, meaning we approve it, but we really do want you to go back and you need to fix it before a certain date. I don't think we're going to be in that particular situation unless we find something that either went wrong with my numbers or something that we don't need to do in the next week before as we're revising and bringing forward the actual adopted budget. The fiscal stability plan that you will take action on in 2 weeks will be critical to making sure we'll need to implement those. Plenty of districts take a fiscal stability plan. It's on paper. It looks really good. They go, yay, and then they don't implement it. And so it's going to be very, very important that that plan gives you realistic options that you can take action on. And so it'll be critical to go through and do that. After that, it just kind of depends on where we're at that particular point in time. Their projections for 27, 28 or 28, 29 are those are projections. And so it's more important to make sure that we know where we're at this year, that we maintain our 3%, and that we have those projections that move us towards that 3% as well. And so that's probably where we'll be. My guess is that they'll probably disapprove the budget at this point unless we can find something that we're not going to be doing in 26, 27. And I do expect that they will ramp up our advisor to an expert.
It's important to note that the advisor has stay and rescind rights. And so, of course, whoever that is, we would work with continuously and hopefully plan and not be put in that situation, but they have stay and rescind rights. And then, Dusty, I think the other thing that is different with this multi-year is that we're now getting a picture of our cash being affected. Could you explain what happens with the state involvement and the cash?
Yeah. So up until this point, we've had a 3% or better or been very close to that. That means we've had at least over $1 million in cash. 1.3 is about what our 3% is. With the projections going down to not having that 3%, that means that we are short that cash as well. So you can have a positive budget, but if you don't have the cash, then the state has to come in and you have to apply for a loan. At that particular point in time, then you go into receivership as a district. And so you'll get a loan and they will make those decisions at that particular point in time. And so it's super important that we address the deficit and address what we need to do. So when Ron brings that fiscal stability plan, it's going to be extremely important, because if that doesn't change the cash situation, then we either have to borrow from another fund. But you have to remember, if we borrow from another fund, it fixes the cash, but it doesn't fix the problem, right? It's just a Band-Aid during those time periods. Our cash ebbs and flows. So we get a standard amount in 5%, 9%, all that. And we get a big influx of cash in December. So it's likely we could have not good cash reserves in October. And then in December, we look great. But the county doesn't care that in December, we're going to get $25 million and we're going to be fine until they take it back in May. Is they want to make sure that we have enough cash in October as well. And so those projections will be extremely important as we work through that cash flow as well.
And I think the other thing important to note is that we have made cuts for staffing for our current upcoming year. We would not violate any CBA agreement or anything and do any additional cuts with staffing. But what I do want to note is that the budget collaborative takes a huge part in this. This year, we've looked at different subscriptions and software and apps and staffing. We'll do that again next year for the outgoing 28, 29, or 27, 28, 28, 29 budgets. So I know there was a concern that we're going to sit up here and just make a list of all the cuts. Those we'll have suggestions just as we did with the budget collaborative, and then we'll work together to get those additional cuts.
Did you want to go? Did you have a question? Oh, okay. So I understand that the parcel tax, it's assumed that the parcel tax is not going to be renewed. So that money was taken out, right? But what about the staff that were being paid for with the parcel tax money? They're still in the budget?
They are
No,
not.
They're also out.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we currently right now have 13 positions that are funded by the expiring parcel tax. 3 of those are teachers. So those are still in the budget and went back to the general fund. And so because we had to take out the whole 1.2 million in revenue and the whole 1.2 million in expenses, because it doesn't exist on paper after 6/30/27, the 400,000, 450,000 came back to the general fund. That certainly didn't help the ending fund balance over there. The 5 counselors and the 5 library media technicians are not in the budget. When the parcel tax gets renewed, then we can bring that back in. But right now, the county won't let me include it because it's expiring.
It's important to note that the there's 27, 28, 28, 29. Without the parcel tax, it affects our guidance counselors. It affects our library media specialists, all 5 of them. And it affects our outdoor school. We've been one of the only districts that still are able to pay for our kids because it's a significant cost for families. And we would no longer be able to pay for that without the renewal of the parcel tax. And that is, none of those things are included in the budget moving forward. They're already cut because of that parcel tax removal.
There's also about 50,000 in field trips. That's part of parcel tax as well. Yeah.
So as it is right now, when the parcel tax passes, we will not be negative, right? But we will barely be.
So here's the good and the bad side of accounting for me. Parcel tax is on the restricted side. So if we
Right.
bring that revenue back in and we bring all those expenses back in, it's basically a zero, right? It's a revenue, we spend it, it's a zero ending fund balance. It actually will end up costing us 6% on the unrestricted side, because for every expense that we have, we are required to give 3% over to our maintenance and 3% in your reserve. So while it's a win that the parcel tax gets renewed, there will be an impact to the unrestricted side of about 6% of 1.2 million.
Are there any other questions or comments? I just want to say thank you, and to anybody who's listening, we really have to focus on the budget because we do not want receivership. Is that the term?
Yes.
Where they come in and everybody up here has no power, right? No say.
Right.
And even with the financial expert coming in, they will have stay powers. And what was the other one?
It's stay and rescind, but we haven't been given it yet.
Right.
It's just, that it could possibly be the next step, but they have stay and rescind.
I just don't want anybody to say, I didn't know that. It's being out there.
And I just want to piggyback on that. If we are taken over by the state, they can take benefits. Negotiations are no longer in the picture, right?
That is my understanding.
Yeah.
They have the ability to do those
What-
kind of sweeping changes.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Do we have any speakers on the topic? No. Moving on.
Thanks, Dusty. Thanks for being here.
The public meeting ends at 7:12. Okay, and now we're moving to the public hearing on the proposed renewal of educational parcel tax Measure D is opened at 7:14 p.m. And that's Dr. Bowman.
I'm going to look a little bit different. We have somebody else joining us, and I'll have him introduce yourself, but we're super excited to have him. And please tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome to the team.
Thank you. Jose Quintana. So I'm the new supervisor for maintenance operations in your bond construction. My first week here. And so it's been just a great experience to meet with all of your site administrators and your maintenance personnel, and really just getting to know the lay of the land, so to speak. I come with extensive background with bond construction, with the Marine Corps base in 29 Palms. It was a $2 billion annual budget there for construction with NAPBAC in San Diego. From there, Desert Sand Unified School District, $700 million bond construction there as a senior project manager, and San Mateo Union High School District as their director for construction and bond management. They had two bonds there, about right under $700 million as well. So a lot of construction background there and maintenance and operations. Obviously coming in from Newark Unified School District as their assistant superintendent CBO. Just really diving into this role here. And I can say that things are turning around. So with that, just wanted to give you a little formal one about myself. Been a pleasure working with Dr. Bowman and the cabinet members here, and look forward to many more board meetings. So on this note here for a public hearing, proposed renewal of education parcel tax Measure D on November 3rd, 2026 ballot. And I'd like to bring up Joy Coomer of Team Civics.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, I thought you, sorry.
The joy was a little different today.
Lauren.
So we have Lauren Ash with Team Civics.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, Joy also looks a little different tonight. So before you tonight is a resolution that I know you'll be seeing later on in the agenda to renew your parcel tax funding. This would be a renewal for a 10-year term. Your parcel tax is expiring in 2027. The resolution before you, has some legal preamble in it with the whereas clauses. It also includes some fiscal accountability provisions and uses of parcel tax funding. From our perspective, the most important thing in the resolution, and pick a favorite, would be the summary that you see within the resolution. That's the 75 words that will appear in the ballot for voters within your district. It's the thing that we can guarantee people will be reading when they vote on the potential renewal. That ballot summary was developed with your lawyer and also between Joy and myself based on our historical knowledge of San Mateo County and also your district in particular. So I welcome any questions from the board regarding the renewal.
Anybody have questions? I'm just wondering if you can go over the ballot language that we'll be voting on.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's for a renewal, and if you give me a moment, I could bring up the language, but it's the same language from the original measure. We're not changing it. It's the same with the expectation of just renewal. But I will get the language for you.
It was my understanding that if we changed any of the language, then it was no longer a renewal. It would be considered.
That's correct. So, and the current expenditures and what was listed is what the district demonstrates needs in, and there was no need to request additional information because we know we need our librarians, our guidance counselors, and our outdoor school and the field trip and some of the other things that we discussed.
Okay.
So there was no changes to that.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? Are there any cards on this one? Okay, so this public hearing for the parcel tax measure D is over at 7:17. Okay, so moving on. Are we? Okay, so we're on part D, core learning / give forward grant. And Erica?
Hi, good afternoon. Dr. Bowman, members of the board, community of Pacifica. My name is Erica Hidalgo and I'm with Core Literacy. And I am here to celebrate with you guys a grant funding opportunity in a partnership between Pacifica, Core Learning, and the Give Forward Foundation. So I want to take just a quick moment to introduce you to, introduce you to Core Learning. Core Learning is a literacy organization. We have been working with professional learning for teachers and school leaders for 30 years, and we focus on evidence-based practices in literacy. So you've heard a lot about the science of reading. We've been doing the science of reading since before the science of reading was cool. So that is our background. Core Learning also has an established relationship with Pacifica. We have done some training with teachers. We've done quite a bit of work in this particular school year with your elementary administrators with understanding your open court curricular program for your ELA program. And then we also have been working with Pacifica through the Big Lift grant funding. So at Core, we really like to have a comprehensive approach. So we're not a one and done professional learning organization. We work with evidence-based instructional materials and assessments. So the instructional materials you have in place and the assessments that you have in place, our team provides professional development, coaching, and support around the materials that you already have adopted within your system. So in this case, we would be supporting your open court adoption in the elementary levels and your Amplify at the middle school levels. We would be supporting DIBELS assessment and iReady assessment, other tools that you've already adopted and begun implementing within your community. Your elementary teachers will see this graphic that's known as Scarborough's rope for reading. I'm not going to go through and give you the whole demonstration on what Scarborough's rope is, but I do highlight here that in our work with teachers, our goal is not to just focus on one element of literacy. Our goal is to work with your teachers, school and district leaders on understanding how all of these elements of literacy weave together to lead to a skilled reader. And so we aren't coming in just to work with your K-2 teachers or just work on foundational skills. We're here to work on all elements of literacy. The other partner coming in to work with us is a private philanthropic organization called Give Forward. Give Forward is a Bay Area, San Francisco-based private equity, private foundation focused on educational equity. They have done some work with Core and came to Core and said, who can we support within the Bay Area to provide some sustainable professional learning to help jumpstart efforts that may take under normal circumstances 3, 5, 7 years. And after hearing your budget, 5, 7, 10 years to really jumpstart some of those literacy efforts for school-wide and district-wide change. What you see on the board here are sort of the main pillars of the Give Forward Foundation. Really this idea of an equity-focused lens on all aspects of literacy. For the upcoming school year, the Give Forward organization is able to fund $457,000 of professional learning for district leadership, your school principals and teachers, including on-site implementation support and coaching. So this is an opportunity to bring in almost $500,000 in professional learning support at a time when your budget couldn't absorb these fees. So why was Pacifica chosen for this work? This really is a celebration of the work that has already taken place in Pacifica. You have already demonstrated quite a bit of readiness that is allowing the Give Forward organization to have faith in your district's effort to move literacy initiatives forward. So a big part of this has been the work that's already been taking place for many years through the Big Lift grant. CORE is a partner with Big Lift. And so we've already begun aligning a lot of this work through your Big Lift literacy action plans and the Big Lift training and support that's already taken place. In the presentation that comes right after me on the agenda is going to be the presentation of your district literacy action plan. So this work has been done in partnership and in coordination with the goals and plans that your district already has in place. You've already done some important elements like adopting core adopted curriculum around open court and your CKLA. We've already begun doing some work with your school and district leaders. And so the Give Forward organization has seen the work that's already gone into place and is really excited to invest in helping to move these initiatives forward at a pace more rapid than what you could do. They are also looking for long-term sustainable partnerships. So what we're talking about this year is year one. If we develop strong plans and have a strong implementation, the Give Forward Foundation is looking for long-term partnerships to really build systems and sustainability. So right now I'm here talking to you about year one. My goal is to come back to you this time next year and be able to talk to you about years 2, 3, 4, and 5 of this partnership. So the goal is not one and done. The goal is really long-term sustainability so that we can have a deep implementation of the work and really get all the way from district leaders, school leaders, teachers, and have evidence in classroom practice and student outcomes. And that's what you're going to see here with our systems-wide support. The goal of this grant funding is really going to have a very heavy emphasis on leadership training, development, and support. We will provide teacher training, but we will partner that teacher training not with one and done professional learning, but with on-site coaching and implementation where our core consultants come in and work side by side with your teachers to say, this is what you learn in professional learning. Now let's take your core adopted curriculum and align that and take those instructional practices and put them into play in classrooms with your students. So it's going to look like side-by-side planning, modeling, observations of your teachers observing our consultants model lessons, side-by-side coaching, feedback from our coaches and consultants. So it really is a long-term partnership, not one and done training. For your school leaders, we're going to start off in August with a 2-day Leadership for Literacy training. That is going to be looking at the systems level approach. What are the systems that your school and district leaders need to have in place that will allow for literacy to take place? looking at things like your instructional master schedule, your assessment routines, your MTSS systems. How do we schedule instructional time? How do we take your core adopted curriculum and have a plan for implementation? So that is leadership training designed for leaders by leaders. It's not going to teach them everything they need to know about literacy. It's going to teach them what they need to have in place at their school systems wide to allow all the rest of this work to take place. We're going to provide Reading Fundamental Leader Institute. That is where we start to talk about the leadership lens on phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension. What do they need to know as site leaders to be able to coach, mentor, and support teachers in the classroom? How do they know what they are looking for when they walk into classrooms? And then we also are going to provide executive coaching, both at the district and the school level. That's that side-by-side partnership with your school leader, your district leadership team, and your school leaders on anything from long-term planning, understanding data, looking at their systems and their schedulings. It's really very individualized based on the need of each of your different leaders. For teacher training at the elementary level, we're looking at 3 days of professional learning for your teachers. Day one will focus on an overview of the science of reading, sort of the foundations of the English language and into phonological awareness. Day two will focus on phonics, and day three will get us into multisyllabic word reading, spelling, and fluency. Our goal will be to finish that training with days 4, 5, and 6, possibly even day 7 into assessment in year 2 of this work. For your middle school teachers, we'll have 2 days of training focused on vocabulary and comprehension. That training is appropriate for all content area teachers because all of your content area teachers have on grade level expectations for reading, including the development of vocabulary across the content areas and comprehension. Our site implementation support, and I'll let you read some of the bullet points. I think I gave you a little bit of an overview there. For your elementary schools, we're looking at 6 2-day visits where we have a core consultant come in and work side by side with your teachers at the elementary level, with the exception of Ocean Shore / thank you very much. They'll have 6 3-day visits at that combined site. And then at your middle school levels, we are looking at 6 1-day visits where we'll have a core consultant come out and work side by side with that implementation of your core adopted curriculum and focus on a few key areas. For example, we've already identified that your multilingual learners are a target group. And so how can we take these core adopted curricular materials and ensure that we're meeting the needs of your identified populations of students? And so in conclusion, very quickly, I just want to show you that this is some data from Joyce and Showers. And it talks a little bit. Can you hear me with my teacher voice from here? Can your folks at home hear me if I step away? Okay, folks at home can't hear and the folks behind me. What we want to talk about is this idea of we don't provide one and done professional learning. What we are looking at here is that we want to get to this coaching level where we have 95% of our teachers have growth in skill. 95% of our teachers have growth in knowledge. But most importantly, we have 95% of our teachers showing a transfer of that learning to in-classroom practice. I know this was really fast and furious, but I'm trying to be respectful of your time. So with that, I will open the door for questions from the board and cabinet.
Before the questions, I just want to say Erica and I started working together last year with Bake Lift. She's been very, very generous. You probably heard some of the teachers and administrators talk about the core training that we received. It was generously given to us at no cost. It's training that we wouldn't have been able to have offered before. And the work that Kate and the literacy team that you'll see here and Catherine, we started work together and you're going to see a literacy plan. I'd love to sit up here and tell you I was like brilliant and that I wrote it, but truly Kate and this group has done like phenomenal things to the point that our literacy plan, and you could probably speak more to this, has been used as an example. And so you're going to hear more about it, but I want to thank Erica and thank that team because this is an opportunity that very little school systems have the opportunity to get. And thank you for allowing us to participate. And the other thing is everyone, you hear grants and it's something else to do, like to repeat if you didn't hear it, like they're doing our curriculum, our open court, our amplify, Dibbles and iReady. So it's nothing new. It's what we already have here. So I wanted to say thank you to you and give forward that we'll be meeting with later this week.
Our goal is to take the investment you've already made in your curricular programs and your assessments and really bring them to life. You've made the investment. Now, how can we best partner with your teachers and your school leaders to take and make sure that those materials don't sit on shelves, that we're actually using them every single day and combining them with those evidence-based practices in your classrooms?
I do just want to make a comment. When I was reviewing the slides before this meeting, I see a lot of parallels with the Big Lift, and I was curious about the overlap, but I'm really glad to hear that there's partnership there.
Yes.
Great.
Any other comments or questions? Nope. Just thank you for everything.
Oh, thank you
for
guys.
the opportunity.
Your district is a joy to work with, so thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to number 6, Pacifica School District Literacy Action Plan. Catherine.
Yes, thank you, trustees. Here we go. So kind of a continuation of what we've been hearing about tonight, making plans, making them living, and bringing action to our plans. So tonight I'm introducing the Pacifica School District's Literacy Action Plan, which provides a unified TK8 roadmap for improving literacy outcomes through strong implementation, strong instruction, targeted intervention, professional learning, and family partnerships. You may be hearing some themes that overlap with the LCAP as well. So let's jump in. The most important purpose of this plan is coherence. We have several strong initiatives already underway: the Big Lift, our LCAP, MTSS, and grant-funded literacy supports. And this plan brings them together under one shared vision so that all schools are moving in the same direction. This plan gives us a framework for setting measurable literacy goals, aligning our resources and professional learning, and monitoring progress over time so we can continuously improve outcomes for our students. It also strengthens our partnership with families and reflects the county-wide literacy priorities established through the Big Lift over the past few years. One of the strengths of this work is that much of the support is grant-funded. Through both Big Lift and the Give Forward Foundation grant, we are able to provide coaching, professional learning, implementation support, and family engagement opportunities without creating additional pressure on the district's general fund. So our goals are organized by developmental stages, as you can see here on this slide, for TK3, grades 4-5, and also grades 6-8, with a specific focus on accelerating outcomes from our multilingual learners. This allows us to target supports where students' literacy needs are the most distinct while maintaining a coherent TK8 system. This slide represents the how. So success will come from consistent implementation of this high-quality instruction, protected time for literacy, strong assessment systems, targeted intervention, and ongoing coaching and support for both our teachers and our leaders. As we've said a few times tonight, a plan only matters if it changes classroom practice, and these are the implementation levers that can make it happen. So this plan is intended to be a living document. We will regularly review data, refine our approach, and ensure that literacy remains closely aligned to our LCAP goals, MTSS framework, and resource decisions. Ultimately, our goal is simple: that every student in Pacifica becomes a stronger reader, writer, speaker, and thinker. So I want to emphasize that this plan doesn't introduce a new initiative. Instead, it organizes and strengthens the literacy work already underway across our district and ensures that every student benefits from a coherent system of support from TK through 8th grade. And then also, as was mentioned earlier, that this plan isn't the work of one person who authored it alone at a desk. This is several years of development through committees and the leadership of Kate Snyder, our Big Leftosa, who also produced these beautiful slides tonight. So I wanted to make sure she got credit for those.
And there's people in the audience that were very implemental and this plan that is sitting back there shyly, but they also they need deserved and thanked. And we expanded that team with library media specialists and different individuals. And so they're here, and I want to make sure they know that you recognize them with you here too. You could stand up if you were on the committee or you were. She won't stand.
Do it. Well, just like Dr. Bowman, I'm very humbled to be presenting this plan to you tonight, even though it was the work of many, many individuals over a few years.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? No. I just want to make a comment about the library media texts that I feel that they're imperative to helping our little TKers and kindergartners
Everyone.
get, the earlier they learn the love of learning to read, it sticks longer. And, they can start to go on different genres as they get older and whatnot. So thank you to all of them too. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're moving on to F, the first read, update to student board policies, BP, and exhibits E. Martha.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Bowman, trustees. I'm here with some updates to Student Services Board policies. The first board policy is 5141.7, which is titled Sun Safety. That policy is going to be deleted and replaced with board policy 5141.75 called Weather Safety, a new policy that addresses safety related to various forms of inclement weather and reflects the requirement for districts to, by July 1st, 2026, to develop, adopt, and implement weather protocols for extreme weather conditions, and additionally reflects CDC Senate Bill 1248 Extreme Weather Guidelines. So this board policy will be implemented in our comprehensive school safety plans. The next board policy is board policy 5141.6 from June 2024, parent guardian notifications. The policy is updated to clarify the importance of effective communication from the district and or school to families, and that parent and guardian signature acknowledging receipt of the annual notification is not required. And additionally, policy updated to delete a portion of the material related to how notifications are presented due to redundancy. And then board policy 5145.6 is updated from June 2025, is also parent guardian notifications. The policy is updated in conjunction with the accompanying exhibit with minor stylistic changes. The exhibit is called 5145.6E. The exhibit is updated to clarify that the exhibit is a non-exhaustive list of notices, which the law explicitly requires be provided to parents and guardians. Additionally, the exhibit updated to include notifications related to 1, the dangers of synthetic drug use, 2, the use of CalPADS data, 3, guidelines for the full human papilloma virus immunization, 4, school closures, and 5, the status change of a non-public, non-sectarian school or agency. Additionally, the exhibit is updated to delete material related to a negative balance in meal account, as this notification is no longer required. And then again, the exhibit for 5145.E is updated through June 2025 of parent guardian notifications to update all the new laws. The new law AB 2171, which requires notification on local apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship programs. New law AB 1796, which requires notification of any dual enrollment or international baccalaureate courses offered by the district. Number 3, the new law AB 2690, which requires notification of the risk of social media platforms being used as a way to market and sell synthetic drugs such as fentanyl. The new law AB 2473 related to transfer of coursework and credits for students participating in a newcomer program as defined by the law AB 2630, which defines kindergarten for the purposes of proof of having received an oral health assessment as both transitional kindergarten, and a new law SB 153, which requires notification regarding California colleges.edu platform, and that student data may be shared with the California College Guidance Initiative. And the new law SB 691, which requires revised and additional notification related to truancy, and a new law AB 3262, which requires students to be notified of the location of all automated external defibrillators on campus, and new law AB 543, which requires the district to display a poster that notifies students of the applicable written policy on sexual harassment required by the Ed Code 231.5. And so goes the first read. We will be back in 2 weeks for the second read for you to vote and approve the new policies for the student service board policies. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we are moving on to so we're moving on to number 9, first reading, facility board policy update, June 2026.
And Stacy's going to look
Jose.
a little different too. Sorry about this. So thank you, Jose, for participating.
Absolutely. So we have today a board policy in the 7,000 series dealing with our facilities master plan. And in this, we are updating some of the governing board's philosophical statement in regards to long-range planning for our facilities that are important to carry out the district's vision for our students and our goals. Additionally, the policy updated is reflected in the new law, Senate Bill 848, last year in 2025, which requires the board to adopt written policies and plans and specifications for the design and construction of facilities, including furnishings, like facilities and structures that promote safe environments for learning and engagement by July 1st, 2026. And so in that, we at this time ask for a recommendation that the Board of Trustees review and discuss the proposed updates to the board policy and administrative regulations during the first reading of Board Policy 7110, first read. Secondly, I have the board policy and facilities inspection, and that is Board Policy 3517. And in it, where we are trying to align more closely to our code language. Additionally, regulated update to regard to all gender restrooms for students' use, differentiating between the signage requirements and the requirements of the restrooms itself. And in addition, regulations that are updated to reflect the new law, Assembly Bill 927 from last year of 2025, which requires the county superintendent of schools to prioritize reviewing within the first 4 weeks of the school year, where practicable, schools for which the county superintendent has received information from a survey of complaint filed pursuant to specific state laws or any other reliable sources, that a facility of a school possess an emergency or urgent threat to the health or safety of students or staff that are not in good or repair or specified. And so we see that in Board Policy 3517. I'd like to also do the first read for Board Policy 3517E1 in facilities inspection. This is an exhibit to update in conjunction with the accompanying administrative regulations that are outlined here in EDCO 35292. I also like to bring up the second revision in facilities inspection, a new exhibit that provides a notice regarding all gender restrooms, which is required to be posted in a prominent and conspicuous location outside of at least one or all gender restrooms. And so it is recommended that the Board of Trustees review and discuss the proposed updates of the board policies and administrative regulations during the first reading.
Does anybody have any questions or discussion they would like to do? No.
Thank you.
Now we're moving on to action items. Number 12A, History and Social Studies Curriculum Adoption, K-5. Catherine.
Good evening again, trustees. I have with me two teachers from Ortega and Cabrillo schools. I have Robin Engel, 5th grade teacher at Cabrillo, and I have 2nd grade teacher Queenie Yan from Ortega. So tonight we are bringing forward the recommendation from our K-5 History Social Studies Adoption Committee. This work represents nearly a year of review, collaboration, piloting, and feedback from teachers across multiple grade levels and schools. I'm grateful to the teacher leaders who are joining us tonight and who dedicated significant time to evaluating programs and identifying the best fit for Pacifica students. Before we share the committee's recommendation, I'd like to briefly explain why this adoption is important at this time. So there really are 3 reasons for this recommendation: compliance, literacy, and best practices. First, our current materials were adopted in 2005, and a recent Williams review identified the need for updated instructional materials. Second, high-quality social studies instruction directly supports our district literacy goals by building background knowledge, vocabulary, and reading comprehension. Finally, current research tells us that content-rich instruction is an important component of long-term literacy success, making this adoption strongly aligned with both our Literacy Action Plan, the Big Lift Initiative, and also the feedback that was received during our LCAP when we heard about the desire for more engagement, right, from students. So that connection between social studies and literacy is so important that I'd like to briefly highlight some of the research that guides the committee's work. One of the most compelling findings the committee reviewed was the growing body of research that showed literacy is strengthened when students build knowledge through rich content areas like social studies. Research from the Thomas B. Fordham Institute found that additional social studies instruction was associated with stronger reading outcomes. The committee also reviewed evidence supporting the Savas instructional model, which uses informational text, vocabulary development, and inquiry-based learning to strengthen both content knowledge and literacy skills simultaneously. So with that foundation, I'd like to now turn it over to our teacher representatives who will walk you through the adoption process, the pilot experience, and the reasons the committee ultimately selected. Maybe I'll wait to say what they selected. Here we go.
Good evening. All schools across the districts were offered the chance to participate in our social studies committee at the beginning of the year. Almost every grade level and every school was represented in the committee. So in our committee, we started off with Lisa Anchek, myself, Erin Masteel, Jenna Barash, Mariah Berry, Franklin Haggerty, and Robin Engel. During our pilot, we added an additional
a first grade teacher from Ortega, Meredith Stratton, to get more of a lower elementary representation on board. We looked at 5 main categories when selecting our top 2 curricula to pilot, and those were alignment to California History, Social Science Content Standards and Framework, C3 Inquiry Framework for elementary learners, inclusion of required legislative content, emphasis on California history, including local and community connections. Sorry. I thought that slide was there. And also that the curricula contains accurate, well-documented information and provides an objective presentation of diverse viewpoints. So we narrowed it down to 2 curriculas. The first pilot was Impact California Social Studies by McGraw-Hill, and the second pilot was California My World Interactive from the Savas Learning Company. We piloted both curriculums for 6 weeks each.
And the pilot is basically where we got a half-day training.
Yes, we got
Full day training
we got a half-day training for both of them, and then we piloted it for 6 weeks. The first one, the 6 weeks before spring break, and the second one, the 6 weeks after spring break.
So each one got like a full, 6 weeks of diving into what the books were. We got full sets of books for our classes. So the students really got to experience all the materials. And so now we go to the next slide. Oh. That's slide 5.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Okay, so our final decision and recommendation for adoption is My World Interactive by Savas. So we brought a little example if anybody wanted to take a look at some of those. Yeah. We chose this curriculum unanimously. And it was interesting because I think we all came into that final meeting thinking we were going to have to like convince the other people why we liked it. And everyone was like, oh, we like the same one. So that felt really good that there was just each experience of these curriculums, we were coming to the same conclusion. And then several of us also had our students vote after piloting both. Just I teach 5th grade, so these are 10 and 11-year-olds. They understand what voting is, right? We study it in social studies curriculum, and they could really form an opinion. And so after we did the 6 weeks of each one, I let them know upfront, like, we're going to try these out. We're going to see what we think. We got to be critical thinkers. And then I want you guys to help us decide. And so the students also preferred this Savas. And I think as you're seeing, like, these are beautiful consumable books. We were excited by the fact that you can do a lot of close reading, which ties in with literacy. They can write on them, annotate them. All the work is done right in this one book. And then we also they're very engaging because in addition to this book, the teacher one, which is the spiral one, gives lots of suggestions for making activity stuff. So there's like these jumpstart activities that kind of feel like games, or you divide the students into teams and they kind of act out little things that we're learning about. And then for every lesson, there's also this active classroom suggestion. So it's just a way to draw in lots of really good classroom practices to get the kids moving, talking to each other, interacting, working in groups, working as teams. Those are things like jigsaw groups, drawing, acting things out, making speeches, that sort of stuff.
So on this next slide, it demonstrates the curriculum overview for the K-5 grade levels. So if you look at each grade level, there's a strong emphasis on literacy skill and critical thinking skills throughout every grade level. The literacy skills taught at each grade level also go hand in hand with our open court reading curriculum. For example, the main literacy skills shown here for grade 2, summarizing, retelling, cause and effect, and comparing and contrast are also main topics in our second grade ELA curriculum for the reading band throughout the entire school year.
And fifth grade
Yeah.
also. Same.
Yeah,
skills.
same across the board. So in this next slide, here are some teacher testimonials from the teachers that piloted both curriculum and our thoughts on My World from Sabas. Overall, the experience for teachers in grades 1st through 3rd was very favorable. The curriculum was very easy to utilize for the littles, as it only requires one consumable per student. The consumable itself was catered well for littles with age-appropriate writing lines. That was a big sell for me in 2nd grade and 1st grade, and pictures for them as well. It offers a strong digital platform for teachers to create customizable digital lessons to support their students' individual and whole class needs. One of the biggest features that we also loved was having an embedded translatable read aloud feature that did not sound robotic. It was an inclusive feature that supported both ELL learners and non-English speaking students. In the curriculum itself, the read aloud was able to translate directly to the student's home language so that they have access to the materials as well. My personal experience of the curriculum is that it was very straightforward and was super easy to use, engaging enough for the students to follow. It gives way for teachers to create lessons best suited for their class. And my favorite part, in addition to the writing lines in the book, were that they came with social readers, and it helps our students tie in the social studies concept in a literacy perspective. And I have those here for to take a look at if you're interested.
And then for the upper grades, I think we were also all of the same things. Of course, our lines look different. We don't have the double writer lines. I had the experience, so I was a job share teacher this year, so I was in the classroom 4 days a week while I was piloting. And because of that, I had a hard time getting my students to access the online part, and we just didn't mess with it. So I taught my 6 weeks of this curriculum completely without the digital part of it. I just taught from the book and from the teacher edition. And so it was really nice to spend the afternoons. We did social studies, like computers away, just us in the classroom with pen and paper and these beautiful books and acting things out and having discussions and reading. And so I think it's cool that and important that this curriculum can be used in this way also, that we don't need the Chromebook. We can just learn with the book.
The committee's recommendation goes beyond just selecting a textbook. It's an investment in a comprehensive instructional system designed to support all of our learners. So there are 3 things I want you to remember: that this program provides engaging inquiry-based learning opportunities, strong supports for our multilingual learners through translation and language scaffolds, and accessibility features that support students receiving special education services. The adoption also includes professional learning to ensure teachers have the training needed for successful implementation. So ultimately, the committee believes this recommendation positions Pacifica students and teachers for long-term success. I want to thank the members of the adoption committee for their professionalism, thoughtful analysis, and commitment to selecting the best program for our students. Their recommendation was based on extensive review, classroom piloting, student feedback, and alignment to district priorities. This recommendation addresses an identified need for updated instructional materials, supports for our literacy goals, and provides teachers with engaging, standards-aligned resources that will serve Pacifica students for years to come. We respectfully request the board's approval of the recommended program.
Thank you. Are there questions?
I do have a question. I'm curious, how were teachers invited to participate?
I believe this was managed when Carla was still ESS director. I believe she sent an email out to all the principals in the district, and they asked their staff who wanted to participate, and we're literally the group that showed up. So,
Okay, I love to see that almost all schools were represented.
yes. We tried to get more people involved, but this is what we got. So
Thank you.
Thank you for all the work that went into this. I know it's something that's been kind of being put on the back burner for a lot of years. So, this is great, and these books look wonderful. Like just looking through them.
Yeah, and I wanted to say thank you. As a former social studies teacher at sixth grade, like you probably heard me complain about it. Like we didn't have information like prior or after like Abe Lincoln. Our books were so old, and you guys did a fabulous job. And so thank you. I know it was a lot of work, and school is out, and you're at a board meeting. So special extra thank you for being here. We greatly appreciate it. You guys did a great job.
I just want to thank you too. And as a library technician, I was looking through and I was seeing what books I actually have in the school library to support the curriculum. So thank you. Anybody else? No. Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion to approve the adoption and purchase of the new social studies K-5 curriculum?
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Now we're on Part B, Resolution 2026-6-10B, calling parcel tax election. And this is Dr. Bowman.
Looking slightly different, and welcome, Jose. Apologies. He very graciously asked to do this as part of his department and help being helpful. And so thank you. You went above and beyond for being here, and apologies for the script. So thank you.
No worries. Thank you. So this action item is Resolution 2026-06-10B, calling partial tax election. A little bit of background on this partial tax. It was pretty much passed in June 7th, 2016, and it's coming now to sunset, and we wanted to simply extend this partial tax. It's going to cost $118 per assessed property. And so it's going to actually bring about $1.3 million to our counselors, teachers that are funded under this current partial tax. So this resolution seeks to extend this expiring partial tax for the next 10 years to 2037. And we recommend that the board adopt resolution 2026-10B, calling partial tax election for the renewal of the expiring Measure D partial tax.
Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. No. All right. So this is another action item. So do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2026-6-10B, calling parcel tax election?
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, now we're moving on to C, resolution calling for an election on November 3rd, 2026 for the election of 4 members of the governing board. And this is Dr. Bowman.
Thank you. Resolution number 20260610A calls for an election to take place on November 3rd for an election of 4 board members of our governing board of the Pacifica School District. 3 of those seats are for 4-year terms. 1 of the seat is a 2-year term. That 2-year term is the balance of the unexpired term of the trustee's vacated seat. It is recommended that the board adopt a calling for the election for November 3rd. And why I have the opportunity here, I do encourage the community and our parents and others to look at serving their community, being a board member. We have some information in our newsletters about some workshops from San Mateo County and the process that you would need to go through. And we're happy to answer any questions. And so at this time, I would ask that the board please recommend and adopt the 2026-0610A, calling for an election on November 3rd, 2026.
Any questions? Nope. Do I have a motion?
Thank you very much.
And now we are moving on to D, approval of the 2026-27 school plans for student achievement, SIPSA. And Catherine.
Thank you, trustees. Thank you, Dr. Bowman and cabinet. Tonight, we are presenting the school plans for student achievement. And I do have site principals joining me. These plans serve as the roadmap for how our schools will use their resources, instructional strategies, and improvement efforts to support student success in the 2026-27 school year. So joining me tonight, we have site principals, 1 in person and the rest virtually, who will share the specific data, goals, and priorities that shape their individual school plans. The purpose of the SIPSA is to ensure that each school's improvement efforts are grounded in evidence and aligned with district priorities. These plans are developed using multiple measures of student data that are directly connected to the goals and outlined in our local control and accountability plan, or LCAP. So in short, the SIPSA is where the district priorities become site-specific actions. The SIPSA is a comprehensive school improvement plan designed to increase student achievement. It outlines how schools coordinate federal, state, and local resources to improve instruction and ensure students receive the support they need to succeed. It is both a planning document and an accountability document. While everyone's school goals are unique, the SIPSAs share common priorities: strengthening instruction, extending learning opportunities, supporting professional development, engaging families, and ensuring resources are directed towards student achievement. These priorities are reflected in each principal's presentation tonight. The SIPSA is developed through a collaborative process, as you can see. School site councils review data, establish priorities, and monitor implementation. Advisory groups provide input. District staff provides guidance and support. Principals lead implementation, and ultimately the board approves the plan. This process ensures that each plan reflects both local school needs and district-wide goals. The principals will now share from their SIPSAs, including the data that they analyzed, the needs they identified, and the goals they established for the coming year. And we will begin with Cabrillo Elementary, Cabrillo School. And here we have Robin.
Hi, Robin. Hello, I'm Robin Pang Maganeris, your principal at Cabrillo. So tonight I'm going to go over the 3 SIPSA goals that we have for Cabrillo. They are designed to increase achievement of all children, especially our English language learners, as well as increasing school climate. The first goal is under the category of innovative and high quality instruction, and it is our desire to increase reading achievement as measured by DIBELS or iReady scores by having teachers implement the newly adopted curriculum with fidelity. As I'm sure you know, anytime a new curriculum is adopted by a district, a major challenge is making sure that teachers actually implement the curriculum. We're going to do this by providing teachers with by setting expectations, giving them direction on what's expected in the classroom on a week-by-week basis at the start of the school year, and also by providing them with high-quality professional development that we learned about earlier today. So that is our first goal. Our second goal is to increase our English language learners' performance on the LPAC by at least one level. As you know, under federal law, it is required that we increase the children's English language skills because until they are fluent in English language, they cannot access their right to a public education. So this is a very significant goal for Cabrillo. We are going to do this by retraining teachers in best practices in English language development support in the classroom by providing them with our additional curriculum to offer to the children, and also to shift our RTI specialists focus to be first and foremost on our English language learners. Our third goal is to create a safe and supportive environment by increasing our PBIS goal, tier 2 fidelity rate from 70% to 85%. As I'm sure you know, every time you increase a school's climate, what you are doing is creating a safer place to children to learn, and you're also creating an atmosphere where teachers want to teach. When behaviors go down, everyone's hearts get touched, everyone's able to better focus on what's important. So we're going to do this by engaging in really specific tier 2 strategies, such as ensuring that we have two-way communication between parents and the school, hearing from them, getting their feedback. Right now, it's a one-way communication. I give them the information and they read it or they don't. But next year, a goal is for us to actually bring them in and have like coffees and send out surveys where we're actually getting their feedback and implementing their feedback. We're also going to do this by improving our cost and our PBIS strategy meetings to formalize them, to get them more where we're looking at data to improve how we are doing cost and PBIS. Is that it? We're also going to be providing some additional supplemental curriculum around PBIS and training to our teachers, and then also increasing the kinds of incentives we offer to children. So those are our 3 SIPSA goals for 26-27. Any questions?
Anybody questions or comments? Thank you.
That's what you have to do, data considered. She's gonna say we forgot this.
Okay. Hi there. Are we ready for Ingrid B. Lacey?
Yeah, so everybody knows they are all at a Launch Institute in Carmel. There are teachers, counselors, classified staff, administrators, all there right now. And so thank you for coming, but that's where they are. We're not mad at all that you're in Carmel, so don't worry about us.
Well, we're just about to have s'mores now, so I'm going to race through Ingrid B. Lacey's. Hey, Joe, can you go to the data considered first? And I'm going to go backwards. So when looking at our SIPSA this year, we took into consideration a number of data of, like, we looked at the California dashboard, we looked at our iReady scores, we looked at the CASP scores, and that's the data that we considered. When we looked at it, IBL has a medium overall performance of ELA on the CASP, testing at 6.6 above standard. But with our last year's goal, it was to take the iReady from the beginning of the school year and the end of the school year and hopefully increase by 10% of all students meeting or exceeding our standards. This one we did not meet. And then we did the same thing for math. And so IBL has medium overall performance in mathematics and CASP, testing 13.7 points below standard, which that one was a decline. But interestingly enough, we met our iReady goal of 15%. We increased it by 16%. When we were looking at this data, we identified some needs. So there's a need to strengthen our Tier 1 core instruction and ensure that all students are progressing academically in language arts and mathematics. We also want to take a look at specific student groups, including language learners, socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and students with disabilities. They all require some targeted academic language supports to close the achievement gaps. And we found a couple other needs. There's a need to foster a safe and inclusive environment, of course, to improve student mental health, reduce chronic absenteeism, and decrease suspensions through restorative practices. And there is a need to increase a meaningful two-way communication with families and to encourage parent involvement, particularly for families of our unduplicated students. So with that, the attendance, I'll talk about the attendance trends as well. All students had a 14.5% chronic absenteeism rate. This increased just slightly by 0.2%. And we did not meet our goal on that one, which was to reduce it to 12%. So we had okay, Joe, can we go back to the first one? Okay, so we originally this last year, we had a goal in language arts, we had a goal in mathematics, and then we had a social emotional goal, which covered a lot of area. It covered absenteeism. It also covered family engagement and student safety and suspension. So this year we broke it up into a couple to 4 goals. We wanted to start with just talking about innovative and high quality instruction, which is to strengthen our Tier 1 instruction, ensuring that all students achieve steady academic progress in language arts and math. And then, so we're going to still use the iReady assessment, but instead of meeting or exceeding standards, we wanted to make sure that we included all students in this. And some students aren't, they might be 2 grade levels below or 3 grade levels below, but iReady allows us to look at what is called their target growth. And so we changed our metric here slightly so that we could include all of our students, so that if they were to meet their target growth, that would be fantastic. So we really want to support students in meeting their target growth and maybe even their, what's it called? Stretch growth. Thank you. So our second goal is targeted support and intervention, which we want to make sure that we provide targeted academic and language supports for our language learners and our socioeconomic disadvantaged students and our students with disabilities. We want to close that achievement gap. Then we split up the goal number 3 from last year into 2. We want to create a safe and supportive, inclusive environment. And so we're going to be looking at creating a survey, and we want to make sure that we have an inclusive learning environment to support student mental health with restorative practices to improve school connection, reduce chronic absenteeism, and decrease suspensions. And then the last one that we're looking at doing is creating that meaningful family engagement and communication. So we really want to beef up our family engagement. So we're hoping that, just 2 things. One is we want to make sure that everybody's logged on to our Jupiter grades, which is our grade book, just so that they are in touch. And then we already saw progress on this when we started with some of our family nights in the beginning of the year. We had lower attendance. And by the time we were at the end of our school year, we had, for like career night, we had close to 100 families, 100 people come, not 100 families. So we're going to keep working on making sure that we get the word out and we get our families to our community events. Okay, that's it for me.
It looks like we have Ocean Shore goals up next. Anybody online?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, thank you, Ellie.
You're welcome. So I'm just trying to, my eyesight is not as good. So I have it in the background. Let me just take a look. So, we looked at the same metrics. We looked at Dibbles, we looked at iReady, we looked at the CAS scores, and then we looked at the previous goals, and we came up with some areas that we want to focus on. We want to really focus on making sure that all students are making progress. So we have 3 goals. One is to increase the number of students meeting or exceeding grade level reading skills by 25%. And we're looking at the fall 2026 iReady reading scores and comparing them to the end of the year. And we saw an increase of 20% this year. So we'd like to see a 25% increase next year. And then we have a goal for increasing the number of students meeting or exceeding math skills by 30%. And so that's the same kind of thing, looking at the beginning of iReady and then the end of iReady and moving that a little further to 30%. And then our last goal is the social emotional and really getting family and students engaged and by implementing social emotional activities, making sure that we're continuing and enhancing the Oceans 411. Karen Stevenson did an amazing job leading that group and getting it going. I don't know if any of you got to see the hallways, but it was quite an amazing thing for students, all students, to see the coral reefs that went on. And so I just want to give her a huge shout out to all the families and all the staff. There were theme days. We had students in leadership from IBL come up and do activities with the kids. So it was a very special event. And I am just honored that Karen did and everybody did such a great job, right? And so we're looking forward to enhancing that. We want to look at the decreasing the percentage of students that are identified as chronically absent. And so we're looking at ways to engage kids and get them excited to come to school. So those are our goals for our students. For Ocean Shore.
Ellie.
You're welcome. Any questions?
Okay, and up next is Ortega.
Hello,
Ortega.
good evening. Good evening. I'm Jason Koenigsberg, principal of Ortega. I'll share our goals. Goal 1 is 100% of K-5 teachers will implement with fidelity the Open Court Language Arts Foundational Skills Band, the Reading and Responding Strategies Band, and follow Open Court's Order of Writing units as measured by Teacher Self-Reporting Rubric by June 2027. Teachers and support staff will be provided professional development in the new Open Court curriculum, Dibbles assessment, and how to support ELLs. 0.4 RTI teacher will collaborate with teachers to support students identified as below grade level in iReady and Dibbles. So that's our first goal, focusing on ELA. Goal 2, math scores of students will increase by 5% as measured by CASP and iReady data. Teachers and support staff will be provided professional development in the Bridges math curriculum, and we will strengthen the SST process. Goal 3, so one goal focusing on ELA, one goal focusing on math test scores, and goal 3 is focusing more on climate and culture. Ortega will maintain gold level status on PBIS fidelity inventory, indicating consistent implementation of PBIS strategies campus-wide, strong use of data, multi-tiered systems of support in place, staff buy-in, student ownership, and family awareness, resulting in our very low suspension rates for the 2026-2027 school year. We will host morning meetings with students and families where announcements are read by students. Teachers will lead a peacemaker program where students will lead conflict resolution at recess. Student council with students in leadership roles is also commencing next year. Scheduled time for cross-grade level buddy classes. PTO hosted events such as Global Village, Science Night, Reading Night, Soul Shop using site funds. So a lot of support there from the community. And the next slide, Ortega data considered with these goals. Summary of the data for the spring. For iReady Spring 2026 data, 305 first through fifth grade students tested. 61% of students are at or above grade level in reading, and 56% of students are at or above grade level in math. Academic achievement gaps. We see an achievement gap in students of certain subgroups, such as students with disabilities and students with low socioeconomic conditions. CASP scores have declined with these and other subgroups in both math and reading. Students with disabilities declined, but students from socioeconomic disadvantages increased their scores. Attendance trends, we had 95.74% in attendance this year. Our highest month was August with 97.21% attendance. December was our lowest with 94.68%. Our second grade was the highest, 95.71%, and TK was the lowest at 95.46%. Chronic absenteeism continues to be an area of improvement. Overall, 9.6 of Ortega's students are chronically absent, and a majority of those students fall under most of our subgroups at 10% or higher, the highest being our Hispanic population at 19.2% chronically absent. We will continue to work with families and students using attendance incentives at school to increase attendance and continue with parent and guardian engagement. Parents are encouraged to join in class activities and evening events, and we had a high turnout for those. Parents played a consistent role in their children's education, and we hope to have more involvement and participation next year. We have a very active and supportive PTO. They've helped us so much, our PTO, with everything this year since I came on before that. So that's Ortega's goals. Any questions? All right.
Questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we're moving on to Sunset Ridge goals. Allie?
All right, I'm back. So, we used the same kind of data, right? The DIBELS and the iReady, teacher referrals. We have the screen/cost team. So we used that for both schools. We saw that our attendance, we also looked at attendance and referrals. And we see that, recess is a time, lunch recess is a big time where we see a lot of student referrals. So we want to look at what we can do to support yard duty and the kids at recess time so that we don't have as many referrals and incidents there. We looked at chronic absenteeism and we looked at our attendance. We saw just a tiny, I don't think it's statistically significant. It's just a small percentage going up, right? So we're having more students coming to school. And we saw a tiny increase or decrease in the number of students identified as chronically absent. But we still have quite a significant group, and we need to address that and find ways to get kids to want to come to school. And we do see that our homeless rate is, pretty steady at about 5%. We had 3 goals, and one is to increase. Maybe I should go back a little bit, but we had 2 teachers providing intervention for students at both campuses. They served 45 students across 6 different grade levels. There was 24 students that were referred primarily due to being a beginning LPAC level or identified as multilingual newcomer. And we saw students making progress, right? So the typical progress on iReady was 89% of students that received interventions made progress towards the typical growth. 45% made progress towards their stretch growth. Overall, the growth rate was 80% of students participating. 32 out of 40 demonstrated positive academic growth. 14 students made at least 100% of their typical growth, and 5 students made over 200% of their typical growth. So we see that intervention really is supporting all students that are needing that support. So we have 3 goals. One is to improve reading comprehension. We saw 23% of our students from the beginning to the end, and we want to bump that up to 25% so that we have more students, meeting or exceeding the grade level standards. And our second goal is to improve math by this 25%. And then we want to improve attendance overall by 5% and decrease chronic absency by kids identified as chronically absent by 10%. Are there any questions?
Any questions, comments? Thank you, Ellie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to Balamar.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hey, just wanted to shout out or thanks to the Pacifica School District and the San Mateo County Office of Ed for allowing all of us and some amazing staff members to come up here for LEAP this week. We're having an absolute amazing time getting some, top-notch professional development and really learning about ways that we can help make learning better for all students and being inclusive and creating those culturally responsive environments in classrooms. So thank you for letting us be up here and present virtually our SIPSA goals. Joey, can you go to the next one? I wanted to start with what we considered first. Thanks. So we looked at all the data just like everybody else. We looked at our CASP and our iReady and our DIBBLs and things like that. And overall, Valleymar continues to do really well on our CASP and even our iReady. We met both our language arts and math goals from our last SIPSA. And however, when you continue to drill into our all students, our subgroups, our historically marginalized groups of students continue to not make the same success rates as all students. So I just wanted to point out that in iReady, our goal was met for ELA to improve by 25%, and our socioeconomically disadvantaged students did meet that goal. However, our students with disabilities and our multilingual learners came close but did not reach that goal. And additionally, in math, our math goal from last year was to increase kids that made standard by 35%. And our multilingual learners and socioeconomically disadvantaged students did meet that goal. However, our students with disabilities did not reach that goal. So still work to be done, just making sure that we're getting interventions in for all of those core subjects. Another goal we had last year was to improve our chronic absenteeism. This year, we did not meet that goal. We wanted to decrease it by 3%, and we only decreased it by 0.6%. So all around, our students had an 8.7 chronic absenteeism rate. However, a highlight is that we had a secondary goal where we wanted to reduce chronic absenteeism rates with our multilingual learners by 3% as well. And we actually decreased that by 8.6%. So it was really great. So we had a lot of hard work in getting our kids at school this year and working with our independent studies, and a lot of office and staff worked really hard to get kids at school as much as they could be. I also wanted to call out just the involvement with our PTO and our families. They consistently step up and continue to play an essential role in providing a lot of assistance in all of our community initiatives. Thank you. So we had a couple of new goals this year. I tried to shake it up a little bit. In the past, we would look at our iReady data and look for all students meeting standard to increase. However, this year I decided to look at those targeted students like IBL did as well. So looking at the targeted growth that each student could make, because students come to us at all different levels and we want to celebrate them making a target growth, which is a really great accomplishment. So as you could see here, goal 1 is the percentage of 1st through 5th grade students meeting or exceeding their annual typical growth. By the end of the year, iReady will increase from our historic baseline of 59% of students doing it. We're going to try to get 65%. We're going to do that through high implementation of our open court curriculum, lots of Wednesday meetings among staff to track and target students and see where they're at and see what we can do, working with our peers to see what's working for them, and so on. We're also going to implement some end of unit scoring so that we can kind of see where students are at the end of each unit and see what's working and what isn't working. The second goal is similar, except it's just with math, and we're hoping to get students to increase their targeted growth historical baseline from 53% to 60%. And again, very similar things. We're going to use that high quality instruction from our bridges and just really having a focus during our grade level meetings, meeting with small groups in our classrooms to target students and really help them where they're at. Our third goal is focusing on our multilingual learners, and we're looking to have all of our multilingual learners advance at least one performance level in the summative LPAC. And we're going to do that through targeted response to intervention with our TI teacher and just high fidelity of our new ELA curriculum, and just really making sure that we're talking and keeping these students on our forefront, making sure that we're meeting with them regularly in small groups and giving them the extra support that they need to make this goal. Our last goal had to do with just that school climate again. And we were lucky enough to be able to apply for that gold status with the California PBIS. And we saw great results in a lot of the work that was done around our campus through these initiatives. And so our last goal is just to continue demonstrating high fidelity with our PBIS behavior matrix and school-wide agreements so that we can reach for gold again next year. Are there any questions?
I don't have any questions specifically for Valleymar, but I just was going to make a comment. Is now a good time? Did you want to ask the question?
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yes. Okay. This isn't specifically for Valleymar, but I've never had to complete a SIPSA, but I understand that, and I can see that it's a lot of work, a lot more than just what we see on these slides. There's a lot going on in this meeting tonight, and we might not have a lot to say about these reports, but I do want to say thank you to our principals for getting it done and trying to close the gap and working with your teachers, families, and communities to reach your goals. Attendance improved a lot this year, which is huge. That's my comment.
That's a great comment. I'll jump in on the closing is that even though we're looking at these individual school sites with their own challenges and their own celebrations, you were all taking notes. I was taking notes. So we can see some common themes across the way. One of them was that focus on positive school climate, emphasizing the attendance. I also noted strong commitment to literacy, strong implementation of our district adopted curriculum, targeted support for those subgroups, right? That was across the board, and a meaningful family engagement that was not one-way, but two-way communication. So yes, I want to thank our principals, school site councils, staff, and family who contributed to these plans. The SIPSs represent thoughtful analysis, collaborative planning, and a shared commitment to continuous improvement. We do respectfully request that the board approve the current school plans for student achievement.
Do I have a motion to approve the SIPSs?
Second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
And I know that there is nobody thinking this or writing me an email at this moment, but I want to make sure we thank San Mateo County Office of Ed, who waived all the rights for all of our staff to go to launch. So there was no cost to the district, if anyone is wondering that. So thank you, San Mateo County.
Okay, and we are moving on to E, approval to hire Ocean Shore and Sunset Ridge School Principal Rachel Romo.
Good evening.
HR.
Yeah. Good evening, Board of Trustees. So tonight I'm recommending the hiring of Bjorn Wickstrom for appointment as principal of Ocean Shore and Sunset Ridge Schools. Mr. Wickstrom brings nearly 20 years of educational experience, including serving as principal of La Entrada School in the Las Lomitas Elementary School District and previously as vice principal at Oceana High School in Pacifica. Throughout his career, he's demonstrated a strong commitment to student achievement, inclusive educational practices, restorative approaches to student support, and meaningful family and community engagement. His leadership experience, dedication to fostering positive school climate, and focus on supporting the academic and social emotional success of all students make him an excellent addition to the Pacifica School District leadership team. It is recommended that the board approve the hiring of Bjorn Wickstrom as the principal of Ocean Shore and Sunset Ridge Schools. Is there any question?
Do I have a motion to hire Bjorn Wickstrom as principal of Ocean Shore and Sunset Ridge?
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. He is also here. I would love for you. Would you like to say anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. First and foremost, Dr. Bowman, members of the Board of Trustees, the members of my amazing hiring committees, they really represented this district super well. So, thank you to all the wonderful Ocean Shore and Sunset Ridge staff that came tonight to offer me a really warm welcome. I'm really thrilled to be rejoining the Pacifica community as someone who considers Las Vegas home. I'm going to have to get used to the cold again, but I can buy a couple new coats and it'll work out great. And congrats to Dr. Ellie Cundiff, who I know I have huge shoes to fill. I'm really excited to be doing this. So just real quickly about me, I was a Spanish teacher for 12 years before I went into administration. And I'm excited to be back just down the road from where I started my admin career. So I describe myself at the start of this process as present, student-centered, and relational. And I'm really hopeful that I found a school that I feel is very much like that. So thank you. I'm excited to get to know you all and to join this vibrant community. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And we are very, very glad to have you here. Welcome. Wait, guys, come up and get a picture. That's it.
That's so sad.
Take a photo.
What's that?
Group shot.
So together.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rachel, you're still up.
Back to back.
F, approval to hire Cabrillo assistant principal.
Yes. So now I am recommending the hiring of Karen Stevenson to be hired as the assistant principal of Cabrillo School. Karen brings over 20 years of educational experience, including classroom teaching, intervention support, and school administration within the Pacifica School District. She currently serves as the vice principal of guidance and learning at Sunset Ridge, where she supports instructional excellence, student achievement, restorative practices, and school climate initiatives. I am recommending that the board approve the hiring of Karen Stevenson as the assistant principal of Cabrillo School. Any question?
Any questions? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the hiring of Karen Stevenson as assistant principal of Cabrillo School?
Oh, you're second. All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 3-0.
Awesome.
Okay, and now we are moving on to G, approval of job description, special education, paraprofessional, and general education paraprofessional. Rachel?
So the Pacifica School District Administration and the Classified Union have collaborated to address critical staffing needs across the district's campuses. To optimize student support and improve staffing stability, the parties agreed to establish a distinct job description for the special education paraprofessional role, while simultaneously increasing its salary step. The structural update is explicitly designed to help the district more effectively recruit and retain qualified personnel for these essential positions. If approved by the board, these updated job descriptions and adjusted compensation ranges will officially take effect on July 1st, 2026 for the 2026-2027 school year. Are there any questions about the attached job descriptions?
Okay, do I have a motion to approve? Where am I? Sorry. The job descriptions for special education paraprofessional and general education paraprofessional.
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Rachel, we're on H. Approval of job description for fiscal analyst, sorry.
The administration is proposing the creation of the new fiscal analyst position to strategically enhance the capabilities of the Business Services Department. The position will address 3 critical organizational needs, including departmental reinforcement, internal checks and balances, and career succession pathways. The role will focus on identifying fiscal trends, projecting multi-year variances, and developing data-driven models to support bargaining and structural planning. Are there any questions about the job description?
I just want to note that there is a financial technician and a financial analyst. There will only be one position filled. There's no change in our assignments. It is still the same number of employees. Recommendation from FitMat asked us to add oversight to additional areas in our fiscal department. So keeping within the classified CSEA labor union, the analyst is a higher position, but will not be filled unless there is a vacancy in our fiscal technician positions.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Don't want any more emails.
Do I have a motion to approve the job description for fiscal analyst?
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. One more.
And now we are on I, declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 2026-2027 school year. Rachel.
The declaration of need for fully qualified educators it ensures that the Pacifica School District retains legal flexibility to maintain stable staffing levels should unexpected vacancies arise during the upcoming school year. So to comply with state regulations, this item must be adopted at a regularly scheduled public meeting and cannot appear as part of a consent agenda. And once it's approved, the declaration remains in force until June 30th, 2027. In developing the projections for the 2026-2027 school year, the Human Resources Department intentionally added extra capacity to several permit categories. This proactive buffer accounts for potential attrition, ensuring that if current fully credentialed staff leave mid-year, the district can immediately hire and secure necessary emergency waivers or limited assignment permits for new hires or existing personnel. The district continues to prioritize recruiting fully credentialed personnel through job fairs, university placement offers, and statewide recruitment networks before we utilize these permits. Are there any questions about this declaration?
Do I have a motion to approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 2026-27 school year?
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Now we are moving on to J. And I'm not sure who this is going to be presented by, but playground reconstruction? Jose?
Okay, this playground equipment is a bid that was solicited for our 3 sites at Ortega, Valamar, and Sunset Ridge. It's the removal and replacement not only of the play structure, but the actual safety surfacing for the play structures. And so we did go out to bid on May 20th, 2026. And the lowest responsible bidder was Treaty Construction at $744,750. And it is the recommendation to award this contract to Treaty Construction and to recommend that the board authorizes staff to enter into contract with the lowest responsible bidder for this playground reconstruction at these 3 school sites.
Are there any questions?
I have a question. So does this include, we kind of got nailed before because we didn't have TK, the younger kids. So these are approved for under 5 years old. Most of our sets were above 5 years old. And so
yes,
we ran into a problem when we added TK to the schools.
Right. So, right.
So some of these are for 3 to 5 year olds.
Correct. And one that comes to mind is Ortega, which has the happy halls at the city of Pacifica. And that's the one right in front of their portables there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's the 3 to 5. I mean, they look almost identical, the 2 structures. I've looked them all over the last year, but
They
have to be rated 3 to 5.
Yeah, they actually, that's for our preschool. We got it for our preschool students, so even earlier than our TK. So our, that, yes, is part of it. And this is from when we had the inspection at the beginning of the year. And the cost of these playgrounds will be coming from bond funds. It is not our general funds.
Do I have a motion to authorize staff to enter into contract with the lowest responsible bidder for the playground reconstruction at 3 schools project?
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to K, possible cancellation of July 15th, 2026 regular board meeting.
Hello again. Keeping with the historical practice and need, it is recommended that the board consider canceling the scheduled July 15th, 2026 meeting as the summer month finds many families, district employees, and board members on vacation. At this time, we would ask for you to consider canceling that meeting on July 15th, 2026.
Are there any questions or comments?
I just have a question. So with everything coming up with the budget, will we be able to complete everything by the 24th?
Yeah.
I know we've always canceled in the past, but we kind of haven't been in this situation before.
Yeah, no, excellent.
I'm wondering if
question.
there is anything that could carry over from the 24th that would need to be done in July.
No, excellent question. On the 24th, we will be approving our LCAP budget and whatever those next steps will be. They all have to be done before the 1st of July or by the end of the but before the end of June by state law. And so those, all of those documents will be approved or not approved based on the trustees' votes, but it would not go into July because of state law requires it before July 1st.
Okay, and then it would go at this point to the county for approval. They were saying something about the 45-day approval of the budget.
Just
After we-
the 45-day that I believe she was referring, there's the opportunity to do a 45-day revise of the budget at the beginning of the school year if needed.
Okay,
Is that?
okay, I thought it was the oversight from the county. Both, okay. Okay.
And the proposed budget that was part of the public hearing and that you're asking questions about, we've been meeting with San Mateo County regularly, the fiscal team. They are aware of this budget as part of our letter of concern. We also had to submit our AB 1200, which is our negotiated TAs for any changes in the CBA. And they have 10 days to review that as well. And so by the 24th, we will have any guidance or recommendations based on the budget that can then help us with the LCAP and make all the decisions that afternoon.
Okay, and that would include on the 24th, the new settlements with LSEA and CSEA.
Yes,
So
they would
have
be
to
part of the budget.
And that couldn't be part of July anyway, so.
No, that would also be part of the budget that would have to be settled by the end of June as well. Great questions. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to cancel the July 15th, 2026 regular board meeting?
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're on number 13, Board of Trustees Superintendent's recap and future agenda items. Do you want to start, Dr. Bowman?
May I have a moment just to...
Elizabeth?
No, I think we have full agendas. Don't think we need to add anything else right now. To the 24th.
What if I was going to add something?
Oh.
I just wanted to bring up this is also related to the meeting today. California School Board Association is working on legislation to have the state be more accountable to closing the achievement gap across the state. So I think that it would be helpful to pass a resolution at the next board meeting or propose a resolution. Does that make sense?
For CS.
For CSBA's SOS, closing the achievement gap.
Sure. We can definitely investigate that.
Investigate it, thanks.
All right. I just want to thank all of the staff and parents and kids for this year. It's been rough for some of us and others it has not. And I just want to thank everybody for doing the best job that they can.
And thank you. You've heard a lot about the communications. I will just say for the record, future agenda items for the meeting of June 24th, budget adoption, LCAP adoption, LCAP local indicators, fiscal solvency plan, Prop 28 report, developer study fees, ELOP and ACES contract, Boys and Girls Club ACES contract, Parks and Rec possible rate ACES after school contract, annual contracts, agreements with LSEA, CSEA, collective bargaining agreement, and then also hiring and personnel. So it will be a very fun meeting. So could we investigate for after that meeting? That would be great. Thank you.
All right, so the meeting is adjourned unless there's any other comments or questions? Nope. At 8:58 p.m.